Yeah. All right, y'all. Welcome to the show. So this is a place where I get to meet people and to hear their stories. So if you like a good story, so you were in the right place. Is the right place to be for sure. Today's guest is an entrepreneur and a digital nomad. So I'm really curious about her life. We just met once here at the studio at Denver Community Media. So this is the perfect hangout for our show. And let's give it up to Marie Murtaugh. All right, Marie. Did you like our audience?
Oh, Matthias, that is fantastic.
Awesome. Thanks for being on the show.
Brilliant. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really happy to be here. What a beautiful welcome.
Happy to have you. So digital nomad
Yeah.
sounds like it's a lot of fun and freedom.
Yes.
But also I was like, there might be a component of you must be really disciplined and organized to make all that happen, I think. Because you don't get to move to another country just like that in a heartbeat.
That's true.
But what do I know? So tell us like top 3 skills that you've developed being a digital nomad, or if there's
Yes.
somebody who wants to be one. I mean, I love
Yeah.
traveling, so that sounds very interesting. So tell us a little bit about that.
If I can't, I'll start with how did I become one? Because
Go
I
for it.
didn't intend to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, tell us more.
Yes. I was living outside of San Francisco, California.
Okay.
And in March of 2022, I decided to sell my home and to move across the country to Asheville, North Carolina. And so all of my things were packed up. I loaded my car with the things that I thought I needed for the next 3 weeks and my 2 dogs and 2 cats
Important.
because they go with me everywhere on this journey. And drove across the country. Everybody survived. Nobody got lost. I landed in Asheville, rented a furnished home while I was getting to know the area. My things all went into storage. So about 5 months into it, my mother called and she'd been diagnosed with breast cancer. She's okay. So, but I was like, oh, Mom, I could just get back in the car and move down to Texas and help you through this process, but I'm not moving to Texas. I'm coming back to Asheville, okay? So we're like, okay, yeah, great. So I back in the car with my things, still, 5 months later, right? I still only have the things I left California with that I can fit in my car. And drive down to Texas. A year later, I'm like, what am I doing with my life? I'm still, I'm in Texas. All my things are still in storage. What's my plan here? My mother had recovered. I had met wonderful people in Texas, was having an absolute blast. But in some ways having a little bit of an existential crisis. Like, do I need to buy a home now or what? And so anyways, but I thought about it and I'm like, oh, wait, I can move anywhere I want to. And if I buy a home now, I won't really have a chance to do this again. So what do I want to do? And I was like, I'm going to move to Mexico. So that was when it became, like an intentional digital nomad thing. Oh, okay, this is going to be my lifestyle. So.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, I can tell you were brave. That's
Yeah.
a skill that I can hear from your story.
Thanks.
Do you
Yes.
see that?
I think so, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So, and you were from Texas originally, is that right?
No, I'm from Ohio originally.
Ohio originally.
I've
Okay.
never lived anywhere for more than 5 years my whole life.
That's fantastic.
Different.
That's different. Yes. Wow. What's your next adventure? Do you have one?
Great question. I am exploring South America now.
South America.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I may go to Texas in between
Okay.
again and stay maybe there for the holidays. But I don't know how long I'll be in Denver because a lot of things have happened
Okay.
that have really changed for me. So I'm not sure where to go with that story. I can share some of that with you, but it would mean maybe talking about what I do.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about what you do. Like, we're entrepreneurs, so that's a very broad
Yeah.
umbrella. So what's your thing?
Well, one thing I'll share is I've done a lot of different things. And so starting with IT and being a programmer when I came out of high school, which was in 1993, so this was a long time ago. And then going through a career right through project management, and then moving actually over to London eventually and being an IT project manager for Deloitte.
Very cool.
And in that, though, Matthias, I was like, this is bullshit. Like, none of this is, this doesn't make any sense to me. I can't start a project on time, on scope, on budget. Like, whose game is this? This doesn't make any sense. And I'm just trying to hold myself, accountable in this role. And I just thought, I can't do it. I said, I got to leave this career. Like, I don't get it. Even though everybody was kind of saying, no, Marie, we want you to stay. You're really good. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I think I really suck at this.
And you were in London.
Yeah, I was in London, yeah.
Okay.
And certain things occurred. Life kind of took over. At one point, I had to take care of my father. I started a pet sitting and dog walking business. My ex-husband and I went through some ridiculous phase where we moved 8 times in 5 years, like really big moves across, or, from different countries and across the U.S. and whatnot. And that my role was to find the new places and put them together and prepare them for sale or for the next renter or whatever the thing was, which was a very consuming thing to do. But anyways, the point is that in that process, I realized I had some creativity because I kept having to dress places up. And I was like, oh, shit, I've got this creative side. And then one time I walked into a store that was an interior design store, and I told the girl, I would love to work here. And she said, well, we're hiring. I'm like, no way. So anyway, so I did that. And then I had to think about my long-term plan because basically that my marriage ended and it was craziness. And I'm glad for that, for the peace that both of us have now. And anyways, but I had to think about what's my long-term thing. And I knew I didn't want to stay in California. So it made me look again at the corporate. But this time I decided I'm going to do it with me as the boss. So how can I go in and evaluate organizations, small to medium-sized organizations, and do reviews of their operations end to end, and maybe provide reports to them about where I see that there are inefficiencies or where there's dysfunction, toxic relationships, et cetera, like that, right? And then the pandemic happened. That was cool.
2020.
Yeah, if only, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that all that craziness happened actually in 2020. If you
Did
think.
you?
Yeah, if you think about 2020 and the saying, everything is hindsight 2020, right? That everything is clear. So I just thought that was a big cosmic joke.
Okay.
Yes, right. Okay, so coming back to it. So then I discovered a movement that's called Agile. And Agile's in the corporate environment. And what I could tell from that was they get it. Like they see the humanity in us. And I was like, yes, okay, I could totally get into that. And so I was like a dog with a bone, sort of pursuing Agile and learning everything that I could about it. And one of the other things about me is I suppose I've been through enough so that when I get excited about something, or I go into a room where there's lots of really important whatever, or, quote unquote important people, I'm not intimidated by that. So I want to be in that room where these conversations about the essence of things are being had. Like, where's the beginning, the spark, the initiation for these movements, and how do we keep those threads moving through them? Because otherwise things tend to get commercialized, or they become industrialized, and you don't know why you're doing anything anymore. You're just doing it to do it. And so anyways, this led me into learning about some really cool things like modern day philosophy and complexity and systems thinking, spiritual intelligence, adult and ego development. And I joined a person in an organization who the role was to teach this stuff to people in corporate environments. Yeah. So I was like, cool. That evolved to some extent because what I was impacted by, when I learned all these things, what it did was it took my perspective of reality that was like this small, and it made it so much bigger. And like the possibilities that are here became sort of illuminated for me. And lots of other realizations I could talk about. But it became important to me then to bring this to as many people as possible, not just people who are working in corporations. So anyone who's interested in this stuff, how could I do that? And so in that organization, I tried to expand from the corporate transformation to personal and to societal.
Oh, okay. So
Programs, yes.
sounds like you started something focused on, like, still IT and corporate world, but it sort of discovers a whole new world. Sounds like it.
Yes.
And then you sort of shift your business to the average person.
Yes.
So you can get to that person, and that person can join.
Yes.
So how is that materialized? Is that how can I have access to that? What is that? Is that a book? Is that a website? Is that a course?
Yeah,
Tell
it's
us more
an
about that.
organization called The Collective Edge.
The Collective Edge. Okay.
Yes.
And you promote education? Is
It
that what it is?
yes. Education, yes. And actually, this will be really funny. I love that. This is going to be interesting to see how this is going to transition. So the other thing that I did with it, because I was like, how do we do this so that people get the most value and credit for the time, money, attention, and effort that they put into this kind of development? And I petitioned to an organization that's called the Global Accreditation Council, which is a body of other transformational learning communities.
Wow,
And
your founder jam.
yeah,
It sounds like one of the founding people and
Yes.
organization on the way. But yeah, keep going, sorry.
Yes, and there's a lot about this that is really important to where we are today and the paradigm shifts that are being made, because education is very much one that needs to evolve, is a part of the evolution process to support us hopefully into a better place. But so in the Global Accreditation Council, then we partnered with an online university so our programs could be turned into masters and PhDs.
Whoa.
But these things can be done then for like $15,000 versus whatever, what is it, the $50,000, $75,000, $100,000, $200,000 that people go into debt today for advanced advanced degrees, which is absurd and obscene.
Wow, that's amazing. So, how's your reach? Do you do that globally, or is it just focus on United
Yes.
States, or how does that
Yeah.
go? Tell us
Yeah.
more about your operation.
Yes. No, it is a global.
It's global.
Yes. But here's where maybe the story gets you later. So I can't wait to see what you do with this plot line, this plot twist. So like that sounds amazing, right? But starting an organization like that is really difficult. And there's when I talk to people about what it is that we taught, then you could see them, their eyes sort of light up and this genuine interest really come to them, and they're like, I want to know more about it, right? But it's not something that the masses are attracted to or can even hear.
Mm.
And like I can, we can unpack all of that in a different way. So it's not exactly a lucrative business, which is okay because you're in it more for the purpose. But anyways, it did make things difficult in the business, and unfortunately, or I don't want to say unfortunately actually, because I believe everything happens exactly the way that it's supposed to. So, but my business partner and I hit issues that we couldn't resolve together.
Mm.
And so I have stepped out, except for doing a little bit of operations work for them. So I don't know what that means for me and the work that I'll do now and going forward, which, of course, puts me in an interesting position to think about, okay, this is Marie 12.0. And what is that? And also ask questions about, what is life trying to tell me? Because if there's no accidents in it, so how do I now move forward, right? Take the lessons, thank you, grateful, gratitude, right? But also move forward with openness and spaciousness and sitting again, maybe differently than before, in uncertainty.
Sounds like this is a spot that you've been to in the past. Sounds like sounds like you're familiar to be new in places or situations.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good.
Yeah.
Sounds like there's another chapter. There's the next one for you to unpack
Yes.
and to
Yeah.
find out. Do you feel like excited about it? Do you feel like what do you feel about it? The next chapter.
Yeah, great. Thanks for asking. I think one thing I would want to point out is that I didn't always feel this way about uncertainty. I mean, there's a lot of times when I would be in these transition periods, and by the way, I think we're always in transition. Like, there's no fixed point. So what I'm getting at is that, but I would say, I might be looking at myself and thinking, oh, it's in a transition or whatever. And I'd be like, oh my God, what am I doing in my life? And I don't, people would ask, what's your plan? I don't know what the plan is, I don't know what's going to come down. Yeah, right. But super, maybe fearful, in those moments, and also questioning, like, I don't understand how this works. How does this life thing work? And, but now I am of the perception that for the most part, certainty is an illusion anyways. And that's part of some of the shifts that we need to make in human consciousness. And so my experience with it now is actually like, there's some trepidation or whatever, right? But, and I don't want to say there's per se like, oh, I'm so excited to be in this place. But and there is some excitement in it, because what it means is you can't make your life up. It just happens.
That's important.
Yes. And so I feel that life as something that we're working with constantly, like as another, thing that's here, does actually want to take care of us. That's a little bit of a bold statement, controversial, potentially, but most of the time I think we're getting in the way of that with our ideas about the way that everything should look. So
it sounds like what you said makes sense, because even if you pick a person that's like the regular 9 to 5 who's been in the same job for 30 years or something, maybe that person doesn't see the shift or the changes that happens every day because it's at a slow pace, right? But like if a friend or somebody who's close to that person is away and gets back like some years later, they can see the shift better.
Oh,
So I guess what I'm
yes,
trying to say
right.
is it makes sense what you said. We are constantly changing anyways. Like
Yes.
whether you like it or not. It's just like it's a given, right? It's just a something you have to deal with. It sounds like
Yes. Change is the only thing that's always ever happening.
all the time. Right now it's happening. With our bodies, with this room, everything. With the time.
Exactly.
Tell us about let's get crazy now. All the cosmic things that you said, like the paradigm shift.
Yes.
And you mentioned the other day that we met some generational. I'm not sure about the nomenclature, vocabulary that you used, but I'm curious about it. So tell us about that philosophical thing.
Yeah. Oh, they're so much fun too. I love this. So what I feel now is my purpose is to learn about how all of this kind of happens and how it works, and to help us figure it out, and to create new ways of being in this world, doing and being in and of this world. And in order to do that, it means we have to understand where we've come from. So I've looked back at human evolution from, say, 350,000 years ago until today, and what has been shifts that have happened that we can see human consciousness evolve. And I believe that we're in another one of those shifts. Like going from pre-modernity to modernity.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is pre-science. And you got to a point where, we needed more certainty or a way to measure the objective world, because the narrative in the pre-modern world was being controlled. And I don't want to say controlled as in like that's like a really bad thing. But the point is that there was only this myth and this narrative as a way that we communicated with each other. And as we move forward, we needed to have some more objective way to be able to understand life and the environment around us. And so science starts to emerge, the Renaissance and Newtonian, etc. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But and since then, there has been, so that was about 400 years ago, 400 or 500 years ago. And then we had post-modernity emerge, like in the 1960s. Because basically these shifts work until they don't. And then something new wants to come out. So post-modernity then emerges. And now we're going through another major shift. And a lot of times these shifts are driven by technology. Now, we call technology, right, today anything that's like IT, right? But technology in the past has been like the discovery of fire, and tools to be able to dig in the soil to plant seeds. And then, of course, there was, being able to plant, agriculture and stuff, and all those kinds of things. So that's technology. So this is where we have another one happening right now.
What is that? Tell us about. Tell us more about it.
Well,
It has to do with AI and things like that, or not necessarily?
I think, so number one, change is being perceived as speeding up. Would you agree with that?
It is, right? Or no? They are speeding up, I don't think. I think, yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree with that, yeah.
So, we have this perception that change is speeding up.
Perception,
And
yeah.
see, and this is this change, actually, we can see that that this is part of why we are seeing lots of other places in our culture fall apart. You know, like people who are holding on to traditional values and people who have progressive values. And the traditional values are saying, well, there's a lot of different things, but the point is that the difference between the two is getting so big and the change is happening so fast that it's breaking down our ability to be able to work together and create a cohesive community and society. But now with the advancements that we've made, since the internet and then social media and AI now, basically what we did was we created, with computers and with the internet, we created a global society. And that's a big deal for us to be able to connect on a global scale, with people we've never met before and places
That's
we've
crazy.
never been. And so when there are changes and advancements in technology, it spreads really fast. Ideas are spreading really fast. And these are the things that are contributing to this perception that change is speeding up. And it is speeding up. And we probably do need to slow down.
Also, what do you think about the perception of time? It feels like everything it goes like that. Like the moments are just almost an illusion sort of thing. Because I have the perception it goes so fast, so fast. So what do we do with that?
Well, I think that's really interesting because our perception of time is a very important one. So time can be looked at in a couple of different ways. There's the linear time, right? That we started this, however many minutes ago, etc., right? There's the linear time that we look at the calendar and we say that it started, 2,300 years ago, nearly. And there are implications of us creating calendars like that. They're useful, of course, because it helps us to coordinate, so that we know what day, whatever is. And I
Make
knew that I
plans.
needed to be here today at 3 o'clock to meet
Yeah.
Matthias, right, to have this conversation.
Yeah.
So, but that's like time as a social sort of construct. Whereas time beyond that, beyond space-time or time and what actually is happening here in every moment, and the availability of the past and the future, and the possibilities are much bigger. There's much more here. And if we could change, and it is happening, a change in our perception of time. You brought it up, and I love it because what's happening, right, is that, like you said, like if people are like, wait a second, what's going on with time? Like it's not making any sense anymore, So we're experiencing it differently, and it's feeling, and that's making us look at something a little bit differently. And I think that's really beautiful because I think it'll bring us back to a different place with time, which is going to open up our appreciation and our perception of everything that's here right now in all these moments. I don't know if that makes
So that idea,
some sense.
Yeah, that idea of multiverse aligns a little bit with what you're saying right now. Like that's what I hear. There's like multiple realities at the same time, sort of, even though we're not able to see it. Is that what you?
Yeah, no, I think that is great. So that's interesting, isn't it? Because this is
Super
quantum, and I think Sean Carroll's really big on the multiverse. And then there's other quantum physicists that don't agree with that yet. We're still working quantum out. But picture that I drew. So whether multiverses are true or not, how you drew that parallel is what I was describing.
Mm.
So yes,
Okay.
but maybe not exactly called multiverses.
Yeah, so that's mind blowing because
Yes.
I also used to think I'm not sure if that something like real per se, but like that idea of future and present being like just part of the same thing,
Yes.
and actually we divide it into pieces to make able to be able to understand, but actually everything's so connected. It's so
Yes.
beyond our comprehension.
Yes.
It's crazy. Why do you think jazz fits in all of that? You said you like jazz.
I do.
You
Yes.
do?
Yeah,
Do
definitely.
you have like a favorite go-to playlist or something, or
I don't.
you know?
I don't actually.
Okay.
I love music
Okay. What
and
kind?
all kinds.
All kinds.
It's kind of easier for me to say what music I don't like, and I'm the same way with food. But like I don't like really heavy metal, headbang, or whatever stuff. I can just like
Okay.
that sounds really angry. But I love Metallica.
Oh, Metallica. Okay.
Oh yeah, I saw them
Good.
in concert. It was amazing.
They have an acoustic show, I think, too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
fun.
yeah. I love. So I like all different kinds of music. Jazz, I think, is really special because there's so much of it that's unscripted.
Hmm.
And in jazz, I don't understand it very well, so I shouldn't be talking like I do. And so that's a disclaimer, everyone. Okay.
We're good.
Thank you. But it's more like it's like a jam session, and they're all in for the same, melody and harmony or the tune or and coherence, right? But then you'll have like somebody that's gonna, they'll spotlight over to, the drummer or to the pianist or to the bassist and whatnot, right? And then they all come back and boom, you just never know where it's gonna go. It's up and it's over and everything. I would call it, if we look at it from, because it's more unscripted and because there's more like of an air of no one individual kind of stands out and it's about the whole experience altogether, then there's more sort of flex and flow in it.
Don't you think it can be confusing too?
It
Or no?
depends.
It depends. I mean, K is in order. I mean, what are they, right?
Right.
It can be interesting too.
Right.
What other genres do you like? You're into?
Oh gosh. There's some Pandora stations or some Spotify stations that I put on, like an
Okay.
after dinner or a dinner party station on Spotify. And I think they are playing for me some of the more modern, newer music and artists. But the only thing I'll say about that is I don't ever really get to know those artists.
Okay.
And it seems like it's a different playlist kind of every time, which is interesting.
Yeah, which is I think is also a little bit of a reflection of our time because like in the past we used to have the albums and know everything like upside down, and know the name of the artist and everyone was in it. And now it seems like so fluid. So we just go and have like 50 stations that plays jazz, from the 50s or something,
Right.
So it's our relationship with music, it seems like it's very different now.
Yes.
It's more of the sonority or something. Yeah. So did you play instruments yourself? No.
Okay, so I would say if I was going to explore my music side, when I was born with a pretty good voice. It's not that good now.
Oh,
it's not that good
fun.
now. No, I've abused the shit out of it.
Tell us more
no,
about
it's
it.
dead.
Did you
It's dead.
sing?
Yeah, but when I was a little girl, in my neighborhood, I would organize the other kids, and we would put on shows, and we'd have dances
No
and everything.
kidding.
Yeah, and
Christmas
I would
carols?
sing
No.
Madonna.
Madonna.
Yeah, which scared my parents a lot because I was like 7. But that was really good. And then sometimes I would be picked for like a school recital to sing. But I never really understood it, and I didn't really explore it very much. My home life, much like a lot of other people, was very chaotic and disruptive, and so I didn't go down that path. But it was always passionate. And it's hilarious. I think people find it funny when they do go out to dinner with me because like there'll be music playing in the background and I somehow know all the words to all the songs, even though, and they'll be like, who is this? I'm like, I don't even know who it is. But somehow my body or my being picks up the music and the lyrics. And it's that's kind of funny.
That's fun.
Yes.
You're a music person.
Yeah.
You know, it's in you.
Yes.
Well, tell us, you've been to a lot of places. Tell us 3 things that we don't get to know about, I don't know, some unusual place that you've been to or some, I don't know, some other country.
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
3 things you don't know?
Yeah, 3 things that...
3 things you don't know.
That are not usually advertised about London, for example, or places that you've been to. That's kind can be frustrating, but also surprising. You know, something. You know, as a person who likes to travel, I like to hear those stories. So, do you have any for us?
Maybe not so well known is in the Netherlands. They bike a lot.
Do they?
A lot of people ride bikes. Bikes are a huge mode of transportation. Okay? And there will be like hundreds of thousands of bikes on the road. Yes.
What?
I'm not even kidding. I traveled to the Netherlands for about a year on a project that I worked on. And I mean, and they're coming at mass, it's fast, and you need to be alert. Like it's more than like I don't even worry about cars over there so much as I worry about bikes.
Wow, isn't it crazy?
Because they're coming from everywhere, yes. And it's like Frogger trying to get across. For anybody who remembers Frogger, that was a great game. Did you know?
I don't know that
Oh,
reference.
okay, great. All right, I'll send you an email later with a link.
Yes.
So, but like trying to get across the street is like, in between, and of course it does help to make sure that you use only signals, right? The traffic signals and things.
They do have cars though.
And
Normal.
yeah, they have cars. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And so many people ride bikes, right? That they will set up, parking garages for bikes.
That's crazy.
But it's not like a big parking garage like what we would think of, but I mean like multi-tiered structures where there'll be like 5 levels high, and that's from everybody coming in, they're biking and they drop their bike off at the thing and they go to work and then they come back and somehow they find their freaking bike again and then they get on it and they ride home.
Wow, how do they find it?
I have no idea.
So this is for everyone, like for the average Joe and for the CEO, for the manager, just grab a bike, just ride.
I think
to
so,
work.
yes. Absolutely.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. They've got a great
What are the
society.
surprising things about food or cultural differences in Netherlands, for example?
Oh my God. Okay. This could be controversial for sure too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your experience.
I think their food sucks.
Oh, tell them more about it.
Yeah. So it's that, and I've said this to a lot of people before. So, and generally they agree. Sorry. No, there's their food, their cuisine is, and I'm not going to probably describe it properly, but it's missing some flair or some passion. So it's like, sort of straight meats and cheeses that are battered and fried, which sounds great, right? Fried cheese, of course. I know.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. The other thing that they do is they drink buttermilk.
Wow. So what is their meat and potato like?
A medium potato?
The meat and potato.
Oh.
Like what is their regular dish for somebody who's never been there? Like me?
So there may be, first of all, like noodles maybe instead of
Okay.
potatoes. I mean, they may roast potatoes for sure. But It could be also noodles because there's a little bit of a German influence in there too. They're like in this weird space, I think, in Europe, because they're like, you got UK across the channel, you got France, you got Germany over here and whatnot. And so I don't know. It's like they're this interesting blend of all these. So there might be noodles on there, like a strudel or something, a streusel or something.
I see.
And then maybe a meat that's like a hot dog, like a corn dog or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite the same, and they call them croquettes.
Okay.
And then maybe a cheesy sauce on that, and sometimes vegetables that are sometimes not cooked really very well. They're overcooked maybe. I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble. It's my least favorite food in Europe, but the Dutch people are fantastic. They are actually one of the most evolved societies in Europe.
Oh, okay.
Yes, no kidding. Yeah, yes.
Do they get to speak the three languages? You mentioned they have like a UK right there, and Germany and France. Do they grow up speaking all the three languages? I don't know.
Well, they're definitely
How did you communicate
multilingual
there?
because most of Europe is, right?
Yeah.
Most of Europe.
How did you communicate it there? In English?
They spoke English,
Okay.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And I would listen to the Dutch. They still spoke a lot of Dutch,
Okay.
too. But, yeah. Mm-hmm. And the Dutch are, oh, gosh, there's a guy actually I really, really liked. And, I don't know. Would have been great to date him at some point. But anyway.
So tell him here is look at that camera. And
You
and let him
know who you are. You know who you are. But they also, I will say, they can come off, I think, as being not relational in a way, not as friendly as we are in the U.S. At least we used to be really friendly in the U.S. But I think for them, a lot of it may be, so there could be two things going on. One, they're not in touch with their emotions, or two, they've actually transcended their emotions, which is something that's really important for us all to be able to do.
And that's how you linked the evolving part?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? Transcend your emotions? Because emotions are like, I don't know, biological things, right? It just happen. Right? Mm-hmm. So it's part of us, right? Mm-hmm. There's no way to get rid of it.
I would put it, so there's a way that our consciousness unfolds, and one of those lines has emotions in it. So as a child, we're first navigating and trying to build our physical intelligence, PQ. Like we're trying to master this body and this motor, can't even know how to walk, right? And play games and et cetera, right, as children. Mm-hmm. So you have your PQ that comes online first, and then you move into the IQ. So then we start building cognitive intelligence. Mm-hmm. And what seems to happen, especially in Western culture, we focus a lot on our IQ for a longer period of time. And then all of a sudden, and a lot of it, so our IQ is like building us really in our mental space, right? And it's also keeping us exteriorly focused and not really in touch with our body. And at some point, then we become aware of our emotions. So then you need to start to build your emotional intelligence skills. And, recognizing the emotion that you're experiencing, recognizing where that may be coming from, right? Because those emotions can also really cloud your field of judgment.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, right. And that's why it's important to be able to... Yeah, I'm sorry, what was your question?
Oh, no, it was just, I was just thinking, and we're not taught how to deal with them.
Right.
So
yes.
That's a recipe for problems.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, a lot of places we're taught that they aren't real or that they don't exist. No, absolutely they do.
Yeah.
right? And any repression of them, ignoring them and stuff is recipe. Well, it will cause us problems down the road. You will be reconciling with your emotions at some point in your life because as the biological, being that you are, you are absolutely subject to them. So then you have your emotionals, and once we become familiar with those and we can navigate them a bit more skillfully and also understand why we're experiencing certain emotions in every moment, like where's it coming from? Is this coming from my past? Or am I literally being, in this moment, like I'm experiencing falling in love, right? And recognizing the way that changes our field of perception of the moment, and then being able to, tease it apart so that we can see the reality of what's actually unfolding in front of us and in this relationship, etc. And then there's actually one more beyond that, which is your SQ, which is your spiritual intelligence.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
What are you looking forward in your in Denver, in your time here in Denver?
Oh.
What are you looking forward?
So this is my first time spending time in Colorado.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I'm from Ohio. I've lived in North Carolina twice. I've lived in South Carolina, California 3 times, Texas twice. I've driven across the country many times, but this is my first time actually spending time in Colorado. And what a fantastic state.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Why'd you pick Colorado?
I had 2 conferences here in May. So I
Okay.
was sitting in Texas and I was like, oh, why don't I just move to Denver then? So
And here you are.
drove up to Denver. Yes.
Awesome. Did you go to the mountains yet?
I have not.
Okay.
I haven't yet, but it is on my list of things to plan.
Yeah, it's a must do. Yeah. If you're in
Yeah.
Colorado, yeah,
Right.
gotta do that.
And I think I'll be here. I'll try to be here, I think, but September, October, something like that. I think, which is longer than what I usually stay.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's fun. So, did you like to hang out with us today?
No, it was blast.
Did you have fun?
Are you kidding me? This is great. How was? Did you get to talk and do you feel good? Did you have
Yeah,
fun?
it felt amazing.
Was
Yeah.
it interesting,
I was
sort
just
of?
trying to coordinate the cameras here, and let's see how that turned out. I hope it was good. But it was a great talk. Thank you. Do you have any final comments or things that you want to say to the world or to yourself in the future or something?
Oh,
I don't know.
Oh gosh. I think. I think the more that we can move to places where we can drop our what we think things are supposed to look like, and instead accept more of what things actually look like and how they are actually showing up for us, the better chance we have of enjoying this life experience.
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
To accept things the way they are, right?
Yes.
Wow.
But it's a fun place to be too. Life shows up very differently for you there.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here
My
with
pleasure.
us.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
So let's call our audience. Let's give it up to Marie Murtaugh.
That's so cute. I love it. Bravo. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I hope you had fun.